Good afternoon, students. Today I will try to teach you a new thing which will help you in your writing skills and also to understand text very clearly. And this is an item of grammar, that is clause. Clause, it is a very difficult thing to understand clearly. Often we become confused between clause and sentence. So we have to learn the qualities of clauses, sentences very carefully. Before starting clause or before starting the discussion on clause, look at the sentence that you have come across in your text. Uncle Poser hanging a picture. Lesson 5. Look this sentence. Aunt Poser would ask what was to be done with it, and Uncle Poser say. Uncle Poser would say, and Uncle Poser would say. Then in the text, colon and a quotation, the speech of the narrator, Uncle Poser. So I write here something and then crossed it. Look at this sentence. What type of sentence is this? What type of sentence? If you learn the types of sentences considering their structure, you will surely find that this is not a simple sentence. Then what kind of sentence is this? This is a complex sentence. What is the difference between a simple sentence and a complex sentence? Look the sentence carefully. I am underlying some words. Study those words. Would ask, was to be done, would say. What is the part of speech of this group of words? These are verbs. You know, in a simple sentence, there is only one finite verb. And in this sentence, you will find there are three finite verbs. 1, 2, 3. And there is another type of sentence, that is compound sentence. Then of these three sentences, these three types of sentences, this sentence falls in the third type, that is a compound sentence. How can one understand a sentence that it is a simple or complex or compound? To understand or to classify the sentences according to their structure, you have to learn clauses. Here the sentence is a compound sentence because in this sentence there are three clauses: a main clause, a subordinate clause, and a coordinate clause. Today we shall learn about this type of clauses. Actually, we are going to start to learn clauses. This is a preliminary idea in today's lesson. The details will be given gradually, but not now. As you grow older, you will find different types of clauses and many examples. Although today I will give you the examples, but details discussion will be later on in later classes. Today only the preliminary discussion. Then we learn what is a clause. What is the definition of a clause? Here, look. A clause is a group of words in a sentence as a part of the sentence with a definite subject and a predicate. Say it again. A clause is a group of words in a sentence as a part of a sentence with a definite subject and a predicate. Study the highlighted parts, group of words of the sentence of this definition. Here are the characteristics, features of a clause. First, it is a group of words. Then, it is a part of a sentence. And finally, it has a definite subject and a predicate. Can you tell how many parts are there in a sentence and what are they? If I ask this question, you all will answer. There are two parts in a sentence, subject and predicate. Here, look at the final features, a definite subject and a predicate. This part also often creates an idea among us that a clause is a sentence. But the second feature as a part of the sentence oppose this idea. This feature nullify the idea that a clause is a sentence. But one type of clauses are there that can be a sentence if it is kept aside, separating from the main sentence. And then we shall call it a sentence, but then it is not a clause. When it is a part of the sentence, it is a clause. Otherwise, it is not. I think you all understand this. What is a clause? Now, Here are the clarification. This clarification is here from this definition. A clause is a part of a sentence, a group of words, and there should be a subject of the verb and a predicate. Then we often become confused with three items of grammar. Here, the characteristics or features in a comparative study. In this table, almost similar three items. They have some common features and there are some uncommon features. Comparing the features of these three, understand these three carefully. The items are sentence, phrase, clause. Look, a sentence is a group of words, a phrase is a group of words, and clause is a group of words. This is a common feature. Then second feature, have a subject and a predicate. This is in sentence, but in phrase there is no subject and no predicate. But again in a clause there is a subject and there is a predicate also. Then third feature, have complete sense in sentence, and phrase and clause have no complete sense. In case of clause, the sense of the clause is completed sometimes with the help of the another clause. It will be discussed later. And fourth feature, must have a finite verb. This is in case of sentence. In case of phrase, there may not be any finite verb. Sometimes there is a finite verb, but in all occasions there may not be finite verb. And in clause, must have a finite verb. Next feature, the whole thing. Sentence is the whole thing. Phrase, part of a sentence, and clause, also a part of a sentence. And finally, sentence is a sentence. Phrase works as a part of speech, and clause as a sentence within a sentence, or sentence as a part of a bigger sentence. These are the features of sentence, phrase, and clause. There are some common features and some uncommon features. The common features of these three often confuse us, but the uncommon features clarifies them. The uncommon features help us to distinguish the three. I have told you that on the basis of structure, There are three types of sentences. The name of these sentences are types of sentences are simple, complex, compound. Here are the features of these three types of sentences. In simple sentence, there is only one finite verb and there is only one clause, and it is called sentence. In complex sentence, there are more than one finite verb, and there must be at least a subordinate clause, and there is or are connectors. If there are more than one subordinate clause, there are more than one connectors. And in compound sentence, there are more than one finite verbs. There must be at least one coordinate clause. There must be coordinate conjunction to join the coordinate clause with the principal clause. And here the names of subordinate clause, principal clause, coordinate clause are new to you. Today I am going to discuss them. Let us concentrate on the clauses. There are three types of clauses. They are principal or main clause, subordinate clause or dependent clause, and coordinate clause. Principal clause, this is the main part of a large sentence where more than one clause is present. It has the main subject of the sentence and a finite verb. It acts as a separate sentence when it is kept aside individually, and it becomes a sentence. Meaning of a principal clause is self-sufficient. You know what self-sufficient is. The meaning of a principal clause is completed within itself. A principal clause has all the qualities of a simple sentence, for which very often we mistakenly call it a sentence instead of a clause. But principal clause is a clause, not a sentence, when it is a part of a large sentence. Now, look at this sentence. Aunt Pojer would ask, what was to be done with it? And Uncle Pojer would say something. Here, this part, Aunt Pojer would ask. In this sentence, Aunt is the main subject. He asks something. Aunt Pojer is the main subject. She asked something. What he asked? What she asked? What was to be done with it? He pointed something, and she pointed to something and said, what was to be done with it? In response to her question, Uncle Pozer said something. So, look at this part of the sentence. Keep it aside. Aunt Pozer would ask, পোজার কাকিমা জিজ্ঞাসা করত, this is a sentence. if it is kept away from this sentence, then it will become a complete sentence. It has a complete sense and it completes within itself. And then, what was to be done with it? She asked, what was to be done with it? Has it any complete meaning without this part? No. It has no complete sense without help of this. And this part also depends in any way to this one. So, Aunt Pojar would ask, this part is the principal clause. It is self-sufficient in meaning and it may be a sentence if it is kept separately. Then subordinate clause. What is a subordinate clause? Subordinate clause is the clause which depends on principal clause to get its meaning completely. Although it has a definite subject and a predicate, it is not a complete sentence or self-sufficient sentence. It always helps on the main clause or principal clause, and it is joined with the principal clause with a linker, and these linkers are the part of the subordinate clause or dependent clause. And there are three types of subordinate clauses: noun clause, adjective clause, and adverb clause. Another type of clause is coordinate clause. When a clause is joined with a principal clause by a coordinate conjunction, the clause is called coordinate clause. Here the conjunctions are not the part of the clauses. The coordinate clauses can grammatically stand as the independent sentence. As the principal clauses, coordinate clauses also can be a separate sentence individually. But when it is joined with a principal clause with a conjunction, then it is a coordinate clause, and the conjunction is never a part of the coordinate clause. First, look at these four sentences. I do not know where he lives. The man whom you met yesterday was my uncle. We eat so that we can live. As he was a liar, nobody believed him. Look at these four sentences. There are some words which are underlined and some words are not underlined. Look at the underlined words first. I do not know. The man was my uncle. We ate. Nobody believed him. All these parts are self-sufficient in meaning. In case of these four sentences, these parts are principal clause as they are part of the sentence, but when they are kept separately, they can also be a separate sentence. Their meaning does not depend on any other things. So these are the principal clauses. And the other parts, in case of first sentence, where he lives, this where he lives is not a complete sentence, complete sense. It has no complete sense. It depends on the first part of the sentence. Whom you met yesterday. This part also has no meaning, no complete sense without the other parts of the sentence. So that we can live. This part also depends on we eat to express its meaning. As he was a liar, this is also depending on nobody believed him. So these are the dependent clause or subordinate clause. Now look at this sentence. I saw that the bear roared when the hunter climbed a tree which was tall. I saw that the bear roared when the hunter climbed a tree which was tall. This is a big sentence. And how many verbs are there? Finite verbs. This one saw, roared, climbed, was. There are four finite verbs. That means there are four clauses. Each finite verb expresses an idea. So in this sentence, there are four ideas. And these four ideas are four clauses. The first idea I saw. Next idea, the bear roared. Then the hunter climbed a tree and the tree was tall. These four ideas are joined into a single sentence, and there are some words that connect one idea with another. Here, that, when, which, these three are connectors. These three connected all the ideas with this part I saw. And if you very closely observe the sentence, you will notice the connectors performs different actions, and the ideas are different have different ideas. Look here, I saw that the bear rode. Here, that the bear rode, it is a clause, and I saw is a clause. If I keep I saw separately, it may be a sentence. So it is a principal clause. But that the bear rode, this part is can never be a separate sentence. So this is a subordinate clause. And what type of the function does this clause perform? I saw. What did I see? I see that the bear rode. So this part is an object to saw. Then this part, when the hunter climbed a tree, the bear rode, and this part is telling the time of roaring of the bear. So this clause also performs a separate function. And finally, which was tall. This clause also performs a different function. This clause tells the type or quality of the tree. So, look, this clause is performing as a object. In object, we use nouns and pronouns. So this is working as a noun. And this clause is telling the time of an action, and which tells the time of an action is an adverb. So this clause is performing as an adverb, and this clause is telling a quality of a noun. So when a word is telling the quality of a noun, it is a adjective, and this clause is performing the function of an adjective. So in this sentence, we find there are three separate types of subordinate clauses. They are the types of subordinate clauses. Here is the types: noun clause, adjective clause, adverb clause. The clauses that performs as nouns, the noun clause. The clauses that perform as the adjectives, they are adjective clause. And the clauses that performs the function of an adverb are adverb clause. In this sentence, you find all the three clauses along with a principal clause. And then noun clause has 6 types. Here are the 6 types. The different types of clauses will be of noun clauses will be discussed later with examples. Thank you.